Wait a goddamn minute.
Come on, man. Why didn't you tell me? Don't like that.
I mean, you can put it. You can let that go out. I mean, you already got one going right there. Or was that Stevens? I'm about to say, dang.
It's a Cortez, so it's not the same, but it's not going to kill his face.
I was just inquiring about.
I know. I brought some with me.
Thank you very much. You know a guy.
I know a guy. So we running live, so y'all can go ahead and.
Oh yeah.
We on live.
Are we live? Are we rolling?
Yeah, $1,000. Put your pussy lips on live.
The views.
Shout out my man Boosie.
The views of Bootsy Collins are represented.
They definitely represent wholeheartedly the shenanigans and tomfoolery that we
engage in. So since we're rolling live, welcome. It is Saturday, February 12th,
What's up, motherfuckers?
2022. It's Valentine's Day weekend, so shout out to all the lovers in the house and all the lovers out of the house. So.
You know the best part about being in Orlando this weekend?
Not in Chicago.
No. Well, all the hoes is in Vegas. I mean, sorry, in Vegas.
Well,
so we ain't got to worry about like Saturday side piece, restaurant reservations.
That's never a concern.
Well, I mean, some of us do, some of us don't.
It's never a concern.
I'm just saying.
When folks know their place, you ain't got to worry about it. So it is I.
It's the gun line? It's the gun line, boss?
It is I, yours truly, Heartman Forever, soon to be the Cigar Savage. That is in the works, along with the Cigar Snob himself.
Salutations.
Sheriff Fort Steve, to my left, with fire going in hand, as we do.
All day, every day.
So let's jump right into this. I have a few things at top of mind.
Uh-oh.
So, Sheriff Force and I have had these conversations off and on for a while. We had one earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity to finally try the Davidoff Winston Churchill 2022. This year's model is a Perfecto.
Is it 37 grand?
No. So it was a little difficult to get what I wanted to get from the cold draw. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Perfecto size.
True.
However, upon getting that bad boy summarily cut and lit, I must say it is a very, very good cigar. Probably one of my favorites of the Davidoffs, and I don't like a lot of Davidoffs.
Ooh.
So amongst the I like it better than the 2021 Winston Churchill, which I enjoyed quite a few of last year. The Perfecto size is a little different. So for those who aren't used to a Perfecto size, it's obviously it's different than, let's say, a Lancero or a box press.
The first few draws, once you smoke it and burn it a little further, it loosens up.
It definitely does. But off the first third, it hit me with a combination of cocoa, some cedar, little leather on it, and then that the cedar kind of burned out a bit once I got to the second third, and then throughout the last third, that cocoa flavor, and pepper. It was a pepper, but I couldn't recognize what it was. It wasn't a white or a black pepper, but there was a peppery note to it that stayed consistent through it from start to finish. So, but I thoroughly enjoyed that cigar, and even though it's Perfecto size, that was an hour plus smoke for me.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So burned well, good draw, but
I'd like to know what the gauge on that is at the midpoint.
It's like a 54.
Yeah, it's got to be around there.
It's got to be about a 54.
But yeah, but
It's still an hour smoke. That's good.
But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and
And it's not an open end Perfecto either. It's a closed cap.
yes, it is.
Oh.
So, obviously, if any of you all know anything about Davidoff pricing, it is not the cheapest cigar in the world. However,
comma space.
I definitely enjoyed it and would certainly get another. And that's one that not only would I smoke on a regular basis, if I could, that's one that I would give only the sexy people. It's a grown man's cigar. I'm not giving that to, people like Rupert, his sweet cigar smoking ass. I'm not giving it to some of the other people that we know and love. I'm not giving it to.
The cigar savage is in the building, ladies and
I'm
gentlemen.
not giving it to. I'm not giving it to girlfriends and 95-year-old man. It's something.
God damn, it's Black History Month, bro.
And I'm Black.
You out here?
This is my history. There is no mystery in my history.
Yeah.
So
y'all ain't got to worry about me today. Clearly.
Tell me how you feel about me, man.
Said that shit all smooth.
Moving on
To the next episode.
Back to your regular schedule program.
So to the gentleman to my left and my right, respectively, I will definitely share it with you two and some others, like Virgil, for example, or Edka, tobacconists, people who could really, really appreciate this. Because I will admit, 5 years ago, a cigar of that complexity, I would not have been able to appreciate.
Most people would have.
But now I can really, really appreciate it. It's different, and it's probably the most enjoyable Davidoff that I have had. So take that with a grain of salt. But I encourage everybody, if they get the opportunity, to try at least one of them. Try it at least once, and then get back to me on your feedback. But it's a completely different experience than the 2021. Completely different in terms of notes, taste, cold draw, finish, everything. So that's my review on that. So, secondly, I shared with both of you the Crown cigars that were gifted to me by Cigar Beauty. I shared with Cigar Snob the King. I shared with you the Queen. I tried the Prince and the Knight, and they're all priced at $13 a stick. I talked with Cigar Beauty day before yesterday about having her come back on the podcast pretty soon at some point, so we're going to work on that. So I definitely wanted to get both your takes, views on what they have put together now at Crown, being a brand new cigar line.
Well, I would say number one, perfect price point for what that cigar is. To be honest, that cigar is good enough, in my opinion. It could be a $15 or $17 cigar straight up, and I wouldn't even bat an eye at trying it, even if I didn't get the cigar the way I got it. Mm-hmm. Just from reading the flavor profile and knowing Cigar Beauty the way that we do, and knowing her palate, it's not a stretch for me to say I'll pay up to $20 a cigar and never tried it before, because again, like I always say, women's palates are way more complex than ours. Mm-hmm. And knowing her history in cigars, all the places that she's traveled, just as a cigar consumer, not as a manufacturer, not as, just getting into the cigar game and saying, oh, I want to make my own cigar, I want to have my name on a cigar, but just as a consumer of cigars, she's up there. I will put her up there with my good friend Lindsay Heller. Mm-hmm. Her palate is, and we've only known her, 2 years?
Yeah, just 2 years.
And her palate to me is amazing. It speaks directly to me. Yeah. Especially with that King cigar. That King, I think, was probably one of the most complex cigars that I've smoked. I mean, it's only been February, but, I've probably smoked already 50 or 60 cigars this year. But that cigar still stands out.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I try not to, when a new line comes out, I try not to have any preconceived notions in my head, because I don't want to expect too little. I want to expect too much. I want to be fair. And so, but yeah, really, really proud of her. Happy for her. I'm hoping that Executive will carry this line. And you're right. She's in it. I mean, we follow her on different social media platforms every day. she's posting 3, 4, 5 times a day with different cigars, with different bourbon and whiskey pairings, and she's on the move. You know, that's one of the reasons why we couldn't get her here today. She's got an event that she's doing later on this afternoon, but she stays in it. So and then on a personal note, she's become a friend and a good person and a generous heart. So can talk cigars and bourbon and whiskey with her all day long. So, but your impressions, Sheriff Forrest?
It's really good. I mean, for a price point, it's priced very fair for what the flavor is. You can tell either somebody with a good palate or a female made the cigar. When I say that, I mean particularly with the woman's perspective. I mean, you could tell somebody with detail helped make it. How she did that and how she was involved in the process of making the cigar, I mean, I don't really know. But, just the only thing is with that cigar, I don't really know her that well. I've seen her from time to time. We had her on the show one time. Anybody that knows me knows that in itself does not tell me I know you. So I've sat around a lot of people and don't know much about them. But I took it as that cigar that he handed me, and I smoked it, and I really enjoyed the flavor. Literally from the foot, all the way through the cigar, you're always getting flavor, and it does transition. So that's something that big manufacturers typically struggle with. It seems like lately. In the word of Fernello's most hated person, Sanj, all the shit.
That's not my most hated person.
He's in there. He's in the top 10. Yeah.
He's in the top 3.
There you go.
Woo.
I was close. I mean, a lot of it just tastes the same. That's kind of the problem with smoking now. And I've noticed, particularly in this beginning of this year, I've kind of curbed smoking some bit, is that it all tastes the same. A lot of the manufacturer stuff tastes very much alike. But hers transitions a lot, has a lot of cocoa flavor, kind of sweet without being sugary. A lot of cocoa-ness to it, some spices, cinnamon. So, there's a lot of things in it that you'll grab. If you really like something that has a complex taste to it, I would recommend picking it up. I probably will pick up more if I find more, just simply because I liked it. I had the Queen, so I don't know what the other ones taste like, but the Queen itself had a lot of good flavor to it. I want to say it was like a Cameroon wrapper, Connecticut broadleaf binder, and I'm not sure what the filler was. San Andreas, man. I think that's what it was. San Andreas filler. But it was really, really good. You could taste all those elements. The Cameroon kind of almost mellowed out some of the San Andreas. The Connecticut broadleaf, you could taste it. You could taste that leatherness to it.
Yeah, you're dead on. Wrapper Cameroon, binder Connecticut broadleaf, filler Nicaraguan and Dominican Republic. Yep. So and Pennsylvania broadleaf. So.
Pennsylvania.
Yep. So
yeah, you can taste a lot of the characteristics in it. Like I said, the spiciness was mostly cinnamon, so it's not like peppery per se.
And she gave me another pack when I saw her Thursday.
What?
So, yeah. So I got more butter for your muffins, my brother. So you had the King last time.
I had the King last time.
So you haven't. So I'm going to try the King this time. And which one would you like to try? Queen. You had the Queen last time. You can get the Queen this time.
Get the Queen because that.
And you want the Prince or the Knight?
That's the Prince. That's the Knight, right?
Yeah, that's the Knight.
And again, I will say, for people who are not, I'm not going to say advanced smokers, but for people who haven't been smoking for at least 5 years, if you can't necessarily pick out, I'm not going to say regions, but if you can't pick out blends, as far as like picking out the spice out of a blend, picking out the strength out of a blend, I suggest you do not read the note card
Until after you smoke
it.
Yeah.
Because I want you to form your own opinion about the cigar. That's the thing. Like I said last week, once you read some of these cards or you read what the description is in the magazine or what somebody has said on the podcast or YouTube channel. You kind of pigeonhole yourself and you look for those things.
Yes.
And in looking for those things, number one, you probably won't find them, but you think you did subconsciously.
Yeah, because you're already predisposing yourself to know.
Primed already to
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other part is there are a lot of nuances and subtleties that not everybody's palate picks up.
Yes.
So whereas Stephen has a very refined palate. So when he was talking about the Queen, that's why I was like, that's the one I want to smoke.
You would love that cigar.
Because I like complexity. I love strength, don't get me wrong. Like, I love a powerhouse cigar. But I appreciate a medium-bodied cigar more if it has way more flavor and complexity and the ebbs and flows of the different changes because of the different types of filler leaf we have mixed with the wrapper leaf and mixed with the binder. So I do really think that you shouldn't even, and I get when you read a magazine or you hear somebody, but try not to pay attention to so much the details that they give about what they got from a cigar. Yes, you want to know, is it a light cigar? Is it a medium cigar? Is it a heavy cigar? But that's all you want to know. Or if it's a peppery cigar, those are the things you want to key in on. But as far as their personal notes on, in the first third I got this, and the second third I got this, and the last third it built up this way and it changed, and there was speckles of black pepper and black currant and all that. That shit, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
I'll tell you, a really good thing, not to cut you off, but a really good thing to look at if you aren't there is if you can't pick up some of those tastes and those notes, grab cigars that you're not particularly caring to review for yourself, but somebody's reviewed it and they've told you that there's a certain strong character, and smoke it.
Yeah.
And go for particular flavors. Because to be honest with you, my palate, I think, naturally is strong, but my palate didn't develop until I taste a certain taste over and over and over, and I taste the complexity. Like vanilla.
And it won't. And that's the beauty of it. Like, it will not technically really stick out to you until you've done it a number of times.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then add the practice and discipline of retrohaling too. So it all adds to that experience.
It's like sex, to be honest with you. The first couple of times you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're just there. You're going through the motions.
I did. I was a natural born master.
Yeah, that's because you masturbator.
Who's the master?
Natural born masturbator.
Who's the master?
But you look at it, and the first couple of times you have no clue what you're doing. And those cards, and it's crazy, but those cards are like pornos. Because those cards give you guidelines, and they tell you, hey, this is what you should get. And then you watch porn.
This is POV.
Right. You watch porn, you're like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just better to just say, fuck it.
POV, pile driver, reverse cowgirl. There you go.
Well, this is a whole lot. I was using it as a segue just to talk about.
Art's like, let's stay here.
Yeah, Art's like, well, now that we're on this topic.
Valentine weekend. For the lovers.
First of all,
Before we
if
go
you only
all-
getting porn, here's my thing, and this is relationship advice 101. If you only getting porn star sex or hotel sex to get the same 3 strokes and the same 2 minutes worth of riding that you would on a normal day, something's fucking wrong. Change that shit up. Change the person up. Because if you can't be nasty with me after church on a Sunday,
Before and after.
right, but you want to hold it for Valentine's Day or my birthday or Christmas, fuck that. It's a holiday every day. Do the nasty shit every day. Right, Stephen?
No comment.
Oh, you motherfucker.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm co-signing with you.
Thank you.
Come on, man.
That's some bullshit.
Leave my brother hanging out here. So, next on the list, I happened to be here last night as well, and had a great opportunity to have a long sit-down chat with Jason Falkenberg, who is the proprietor of Ash Quarterly, and we were talking about just some of the I won't call them boutique, but smaller lines that he and I both enjoy. We
Small
talked about
batch.
we talked about Rodriguez and some of the others, and we talked about the importance of all the different cigar lounges that we've gone to, and you've talked about this ad nauseum before, the importance of the right temperature control and humidity. Because there is a cigar lounge not too far from here that I'm not going to name, Torch, where all their cigars are drier than the Golden Girls. So
Thank you for being a friend.
So it's important.
I think waterboarding would have been less of it.
So it's important that the cigars that you acquire when you go to a cigar lounge, that they're kept at the appropriate temperature and humidity. We're going to call DCFS in a minute. Yeah, right. So
I better not be coming with the water in there.
so
Now you got to have good humidity. You got to have good temperature. That's something that took time for me to realize in regards to cigars. It's to an extent that it'll make you not like a cigar you probably normally would like.
Absolutely.
Because it's environment. That weird moldy basement flavor you get sometimes from cigars because of the quality of humidification. Because it's one thing to humidify something. There's another thing to humidify something with clean, crisp water. Distilled water, to be exact. Because if you don't, and you go to a lot of old school shops and you go buy stuff, it typically has this weird moldy flavor, more minerally, because every cigar is not supposed to have mineral flavor to it.
that's true.
But you will find some shops you go to, every cigar you pick up tastes like you're smoking a rock or something.
Yeah, and that's why it's important. And you talked about this as well. Is that when you pick up a cigar at a spot, at some of these retail establishments, feel it. You know,
Feel it.
Feel it. If it's too spongy, it's over humidified. If it's too dry and the outer leaves are starting to show signs of wear and tear and crack, it's too dry.
Especially if it's over humidified, because when you get that spongy flavor, not only is it describing the feel of the cigar, but it's literally doing it at that point. When it's like really, really over humidified, it's got a lot of moisture in it. That moisture is locking in flavors that are all over the place. So if you don't got a perfect room and everything isn't clean, and the cedar that it's sitting on isn't properly, if they even have it on cedar, you're getting a lot of weird flavors. So that's another reason why you should never smoke inside of a humidor. It's very unetiquette. It's bad etiquette. You should never really do it. It's not cool.
Yeah.
I know people want to be the boss, walking in there with a cigar and without picking us. No, don't do that.
It's no good.
Like if I had a shop,
You're a
come in
douchebag.
there, you get chopped in the throat because you can't do that. You're gonna ruin the cigar at that point because cigar smoke smells great and all, but it doesn't do well with cigar that's sitting and resting and doing this thing. You gotta
That's the worst thing ever.
create that awesome environment.
And that's why Jeff, when we smoke at his establishments, we sit outside.
Man, we going with names, bro.
I'm
We
naming-
going all the way
I'm
in.
naming
today.
names. Sue
We
me.
naming names.
God damn it. Sue me.
This is name dropping in a negative sense.
No, this is name dropping in the true sense. I'm a righteous motherfucker.
You watch the book of Boba Fett? Yeah.
Uh-uh.
As a character that's a cowboy, yes, you right now. You coming in and shooting everybody. You ain't asking but a handful of questions.
I'm like Mouse and Devil in the Blue Dress. Why you leaving with me if you want me to shoot him?
You like Mouse when he woke up. He woke up from that nap when they were drinking. I shoot that motherfucker. He put the other gun down. He pulled out another gun.
Yeah.
Man.
But
Slow down, pup.
I'm telling truth.
Yeah.
So, where is the lie? There is none. But yes, when we go to those establishments, that's why we smoke outside. So, and unless there's something specific that we're looking for, we bring our own.
There's only two types of cigars that I smoke in an establishment like that are with the open humidor system.
Get that open, that closed box. That's great.
It's going to be
Sealed, yeah.
a cellophane cigar,
Uh-huh.
or it's in their private stock,
Or it's
which is separately humidified.
or it's cellophane and coffin.
Because other than that, you're just smoking everything that everybody else has smoked in there.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong,
It's like a Lamar Odom at the Bunny Ranch. Couldn't handle it.
Dang, this motherfucker's on the roll today. What, you ain't getting no pussy today?
Today ends with day. That's not true.
This woman's seem a little perturbed today, sir.
No, I'm in a great mood.
Art's in the feeling. He's in the mode of knife crime right now. He's just stabbing folks. He hits you right in the face and smile at the same time. Surprise, motherfucker.
I feel like I got an MP5 with unlimited ammo.
With the drum in the bomb.
That's it. Rat-a-tat-tat.
Rat-a-tat-tat-tat. Damn,
Or like that fool I sent you that clip of with that
that briefcase?
yeah, that briefcase and that other dude with the fully auto Desert Eagle.
That's just stupid. Yeah. That's
I
just
showed it to CJ. He's like,
you
can't-
want to die.
he's like, you can't do
You
anything with
can't
that.
do nothing with that.
Yeah.
You ain't hitting nothing but hopes and dreams.
Yeah,
If even that.
Or you giving out dreams and nightmares. Shout out to Meek Mill.
Nick Mill.
I mean, here's the thing. You have to, that first clip that he shot off, yeah, there is no.
And then you know, it's the first time the boy didn't know what he was doing. He still had the safety on.
Yeah.
The boy reached behind him and take
He
the
was
safety
too
off.
excited.
Yeah, yeah.
He was way too excited.
You need to calm down. So,
But
You gotta take
I
time.
guarantee you that second magazine, he was a lot better. Now, first one, you know, everybody thinks, oh, take the car, whatever, I can do whatever I want.
yeah. No.
Once you get that first one out of the system,
Mhm.
he was a lot better.
It's like shooting something like that. It's like shooting a shotgun for. It sounds like an awesome idea until you're trying to hit something.
Yes.
It's just not designed to do that.
No.
I mean, I'm not saying you had to have a pump action, but at least semi-automatic as far as I would go, because when you're trying to shoot something that much power and that much kick, you're not hitting anything on the follow-up shot at all. The first shot was the first shot that could have hit anything.
So-
Everything else is just spraying.
So here's the thing. That is something I would use for crowd control. If you're in a situation where you got 4 or 5 motherfuckers trying to run up on you, you can just pray and spray that.
Yeah. Because
Because you're hitting about 3 or 4 people, guaranteed.
yeah. And if there's anybody left standing after that, they're running
Mm-hmm.
because they know what's about to happen.
Because once you hear that, once you hear that first round go off,
You shoot it in the air like old boy did on Hotel Rwanda when they were trying to take over the hotel.
Oh,
They
yeah.
don't want none of that problem.
No.
mm-mm.
No.
You don't want these problems, big boy.
But at any rate, at some point, we also would like to schedule some time with Jason from Ash Quarterly on. So
Absolutely.
good dude. He said he's open to it any time. So we'll be getting that set up directly. So
So what do you got planned for Valentine's?
the lady's got her cousin Mark in town and his wife. So we're
Mark Anthony?
no, not that Mark. And so we're supposed to be going to dinner this evening here in the Sanford area, either at Buster's or the old jailhouse. So that'll be cool. So if it's
I ain't going to
Buster's.
nobody in jailhouse during Black History Month.
Well,
Yeah, man.
Especially in Sanford. The whole fucked up.
it is. Well, then maybe it'll be Buster's. So, and if it's Buster's, good. Get to see Harper again, the manager, and hopefully we'll have Ella as our waitress. But I didn't think we would be able to get a reservation because it's Valentine weekend. So,
Remember what I told you?
but we were able to get it done.
All the ladies of the night. On Super Bowl weekend.
That's another thing. Super Bowl weekend is kind of canceling out some of that.
I love it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think a lot of people are just going to wait till that Monday. Everybody's kind of doing stuff, but they're not doing the standard stuff they would do if it was like a Saturday.
Yeah.
In Philly.
And I'm off on Monday.
And Chantel's is having a Valentine's Day thing this evening too.
I'll see that.
It's surf and turf, so that'll be nice. So and shout out to Chantel's Until. Occasionally she's been making lasagna off and on, which is phenomenal.
What?
And I ran into her Wednesday, and she made me a pan of lasagna. Ain't that nice?
Well,
So, Steven,
well then, sir.
how's Enzo doing? just gonna switch tracks on that one. I ain't even.
What?
I don't even want to be in camera angle view right now. I'm not. So Steven,
Well, why not?
how's Enzo doing?
Enzo is being Enzo.
Enzo is Steven's dog, by the way. If you guys don't know.
Golden Doodle, correct?
Out there chilling, yeah.
Yeah.
Golden
No, let's get back to this. Let's get back to this lasagna. What's the problem?
No.
Ain't gonna do it.
No.
Ain't gonna do it.
Looks like another little TKO.
Teddy Pendergrass, for those who don't know. So, but at any rate,
Pan of lasagna.
Hmm.
Days, I remember getting pans of lasagna.
man, oh man. So,
The only time I got pans of lasagna from a woman,
I'm gonna tell the truth now. Go ahead.
I ain't gonna say nothing because you know
well, surprise, surprise, motherfucker. The king is back. So I got a pan of lasagna. So. And I have to amend that statement, courtesy of her and her spouse, Mr. McGee. So
In the words of Bernie Mac on Life, I ain't getting nothing.
so
you want your cornbread?
what's your Valentine's Day plan? Romantic player, if you have it.
Actually, I mean I do and I don't. We were supposed to go to the Basquiat opening.
Yeah, I want to check that. I'm a
Man, that
big
thing was
fan.
packed.
I could
On
imagine.
Thursday, it
Yeah.
was packed.
Boy, don't
And-
they love us when we dead?
Man,
But you know the other reason though. You know the other reason. All the major influential black rappers started talking about Basquiat.
Yeah.
Jay-Z, Rick
Yeah.
Ross, and all those guys.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, look at this guy.
yeah,
I'm like, man, you know, our community has known about him forever.
yeah.
This is not somebody that just like, you know, this isn't someone who just came along out of the blue and somebody blew them up. Like, no, this
Yeah.
guy's been an accomplished painter for a while and we've known about him.
Yeah,
It's just sad that, you know, it's another one of those things like they say, give me my flowers while I'm alive.
yeah. And he died in '88. He died 34 years
he
ago.
died in 88.
He's been gone.
A long time.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm still happy that people are, you know, able to see his art and get to appreciate it and get to learn from it. Like I'm glad that that's happening.
That's why I'm glad it's here and I'm gonna get a chance to see it because personally I'm not a fan of his work.
Oh, I love it.
And
I even have a Basquiat mask.
even when I talked about it, I talked about going to go see the work that they have in at the museum. I'm not a big fan of Basquiat, but the thing is that I know he's an extremely influential artist.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to see his work so I can take it in myself. I mean, personally, I'm like more of an Andy Warhol fan. I don't know why, just am.
All good.
But I mean, and it's not to say his artwork isn't good, but you got a lot of people that aren't into art. They just say, oh, I know these names, like I know Picasso, stuff like that. But once you start looking at a lot of art, you start going to museums a lot, you start realizing what you like a lot. Like
I think the other thing too is that his art reflected his life,
yeah.
so that
Definitely. And he had a rough life. Yeah.
if you didn't have some part of that type of upbringing, you can appreciate the art, but you can't necessarily appreciate the passion that goes behind it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain, poets and artists that I'm like, man, it's great. It's a great body of work, but I don't get the same thing from it. Like, however,
chaos in his work.
Toni Morrison, hands down, from the first time I read one of her books in middle school, I was hooked. It was in the book, my favorite book, Sula.
Wow, my goodness. Whew. Yeah,
And I read
she
that book
took
in
it to
8th
you.
grade.
She took it to you too. She didn't
And-
sugarcoat nothing.
I have read tons of other, another great writer, Albert Camus, existentialist, great writer, but there's always that one person that you just connect with on a very personal level, and I think that's what a lot of people who grew up in my time period and Stephen's time period, we grew up that way, and now we've become more accomplished. We've become professionals, and so to see something that we could have painted or something that we could have thought of,
Yeah.
now on a international stage, as it were.
Yeah.
You know, it's a huge sense of pride.
Yeah, and he took it to you, which is why his work was summarily controversial, because he dealt with dichotomies such as wealth versus poverty, integration versus segregation, and inner versus outer experience, and another one, unfortunately, part of that 27 Club, the one with Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, and Jimi Hendrix, and Kurt Cobain, died at 27 of a heroin overdose. So,
Yeah.
kids out there, leave that heroin alone. That shit will kill you, and it's a nasty ass drug.
And it's strong nowadays. I don't know how what. I mean, opiates obviously pills, but it's crazy that that's a thing. That's a thing. People are doing it in large quantities.
You want to know why? The reason is because you got to remember, it's like heroin is what? It's worse than cocaine, for the simple fact that that first high you get,
You're always chasing.
you never achieve that same high again. So obviously, as human beings,
You're always chasing that rabbit.
you're like, you know what? I did this much last time, and I got there. Let me do a little bit more. Let me do a little bit more. Because you're thinking, if you add a little bit more, I'll get to that place where I was the first time. That out-of-body experience that changed my life. And unfortunately, you never, like you said, you never catch that rabbit. What ends up happening is you die.
Yeah.
Your body just can't handle it.
So in May of 2017, one of his more popular pieces, Untitled, the one that depicts the black skull with the yellow and red rivets, sold for $110 million at Sotheby's, becoming one of the most expensive paintings ever purchased. It also set a new record high at the time for an American artist at auction. I just hate that he was not alive to benefit from some of the profits of that kind of artwork, because he could have generated foundational, generational legacy.
Generational wealth.
Yeah.
That's kind of life of an artist. I mean, I can remember when I was in grade school, middle school, reading, having to learn about art, and then going to college and having to take art appreciation and kind of getting a better understanding of why art was supposed to be good. And if you go to realize a lot of artists, unlike other arts like music or fashion, the artists make this work, and it never really goes into fruition of how good it is until
they
they're
die.
dead, or they're about to die, or they lost their mind.
Yeah.
And the common thing amongst almost all artists is that the better their work is, the more chaotic their mind is.
Absolutely.
And most of the time, when they're actually creating that art, that's how they get that energy out. Like, Van Gogh. I'm a big Van Gogh fan. I love Van Gogh. And Van Gogh was literally going through a lot of chaotic moments in his life. And his best work was when he was at the worst.
When he cut his ear off.
So one of my favorite pieces of work of all time, and if I ever got to a point that I had literally like Bezos money, I'd buy Almond Blossom. It's a picture. It's a blue background, and it's got a tree growing through it, and it's got blooms of almond tree, and it's something about that image. I love it. It's the background in my work. It's literally how it calms me down at work all day. And when I first saw the painting in person, it was like, wow, this is amazing. And he literally made that for his niece. He painted that for her nursery. And that was the whole point of the painting, was that he was going to create this calming, relaxing image that was going to just be in this girl's room. Yeah, that painting was designed for a little girl's room. And now it's considered one of the most expensive, priceless images in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, and I think that's what art, it's good to hear what people think is popular, but you got to go and see the work. And when you see the work, it changes. It's different than when you look at it on the phone. When you see it in person, or you see like a replication of it, it's like, a big deal. Like even like going to these museums, it's kind of made me like try to understand more about the art world. Because I'm a music guy. Music is really my thing. Like if you talk about what you know the most about, me and music, I know a lot about music.
You are an audiophile.
I know
sure.
a lot about music. Like I'm one of those people breaking down samples.
Yeah, and your song selections on your posts are just perfect.
No,
Dead on.
I'm that kind of person.
Yeah.
where I'll listen to music and I'll break down, like for instance, and that's one of the things. No matter what anybody says about him, I still love him as a creator. It's Kanye West. I can sit and listen to Kanye West's music. Some people just hear a good beat and good vibes. I literally am breaking down every sample he's tried to put together to make that song. So sometimes I can sit and listen to his music, and I could be like, "Oh man, that's Shaka Khan. That's this," or breaking down the individual songs he put together. And to most people, they talk about sampling is such a bad thing. To take a sample and create something new out of it is really, really, really hard.
It is, and he's definitely a gifted musician. You
Very
can say what
good.
you want about, you know, his personal life or his personal views and so forth, but he is a talented musician. Now, even though he's not in vogue anymore, I felt the same way about R. Kelly. His talent is definitely evident
Talented,
and
extremely
obvious.
talented.
So
It bothers me that
he's
now,
sick and
given
he's
his
a
life
rapist and he's a child molester.
and all the things that he's gone through in his life and the things that have come to fruition about who he was, it's hard that I don't want to listen to his music no more. Not because I'm just like, fuck R. Kelly because of this. It's just I can't listen to it anymore at this point. But his music, his sampling ability, like think about the Mary J. Blige album. That's nothing but recreations and samples.
Yeah.
Literally most of her albums are just her singing older songs. They pump up the tempo for it a little bit, change some things around. They created this song that, for me as a kid growing up, like being like in elementary school and hearing like Mary J. Blige, it's new to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I got my mom like, oh, that's just a recreate. What?
It's more
this
than
is
that.
this,
More than that.
and this is that.
Robert Glasper also has that same kind of talent. So absolutely. See what you get here at ATF Radio. Not only do you get the guns, not only do you get the alcohol, not only do you get the sticks and the tricks, you also get some art history.
And these nuts. Stephen agreed.
Sure.
Okay.
But go to our museum, see as many as you can. If you ever get the chance to go to Paris, and the only reasonable thing to see in Paris to me is the Louvre. And it
That's
will
beautiful.
blow your freaking mind. Like that, I've never been somewhere with that much expensive stuff that I can't touch. You walk in there, and literally, like,
It's like
your
going to a
mom
strip
would
club.
do that literal conversation. Don't touch shit. Nope. Because it's like priceless.
Yeah,
Most of that stuff is priceless.
It's true.
I mean, if that place burned down, there's not enough insurance in the world to cover most of this.
No, because that stuff is
It's
irreplaceable.
irreplaceable. Even some of the stuff you walk by and don't think are relevant are pieces of work that can be recreated in any fashion, any way. Like half of that stuff has, I mean, they're like in $500,000 reprints. And a reprint, if you don't know, is just they recreate the image in the printout, and it's not the original piece, but it has a number, nomenclature, and all that stuff. And it's relevant, but it's not the same thing. We're talking about $500,000 for a print.
That's why I've always wanted to visit in Italy. I've always wanted to visit the Sistine Chapel. That just painting upside down on a ceiling. That's just crazy. But there's some incredible artists out here. But anyway,
Art,
yes.
love art. Not that art.
But hey, I'm art. I'm art. And the earth without art is just. So look it up.
A world without art and creation is a world in chaos.
Agreed.
Art makes everything beautiful.
I do my best.
Which is funny because like I thrive in chaos.
You do.
Like if my world
What are
is
you,
not,
Punisher?
if the world's not on
He's
fire,
like a
I'm not happy.
He's like a black reacher. Yeah. So.
Bleacher.
Wow. Really.
Hey, I mean,
So let's go geopolitical here for a
Oh,
minute.
Lord. It's coming.
Is Ukraine done? It looks like Russia's about to just go ahead and take it over. They're surrounded on 3 sides now.
Negotiations, it's going to be like the Gaza Strip. We're going to be doing negotiations. Some people are going to get killed. Some stuff going to get taken over and destroyed. And then the rest of the world is going to finally realize, oh, we might need to do something kind of about this. Because we've committed, I mean, right now, quote unquote, probably 3,000 soldiers, American soldiers are there, sitting there, kind of trying to figure out what the rest of the world's going to do.
But President Biden has said he has no intention of deploying troops on the ground. But maybe maybe that's what he has to say right now.
Fort Bragg says otherwise. Trust me, they're there.
There you have it.
Rather, they're actually there and doing anything is a whole different.
Don't get my brothers caught up.
They know.
Because that's where we stationed at. So
You know. They know. There ain't no. We ain't doing.
Here's
like
my-
I said, we're not doing. There's not very many secrets we can keep in.
here's my thing. And I'm a humanitarian. You know, I've done the whole world police thing, and I get it. But to be honest, and not to be, I'm not coming off as, I'm not trying to be cold and callous and an asshole, but fuck them. To be honest, we got Americans who haven't had clean water in over 8 years now. We got a homeless population that is just through the roof with COVID. You still got soldiers who have mental issues, who can't get the mental help they need, can't get the monetary help they need to get them off of drugs, off of drinking, and all these other things. Until we clean up our own shit, we honestly don't need to be anywhere else cleaning up anything else. I'm sorry.
I don't disagree with you. However, because Ukraine is part of the NATO alliance, we have signed a contract that if anybody in the NATO
That's fine.
alliance gets attacked, everybody else is supposed to support that.
So that's perfectly fine. And this is the only thing probably that I agreed with Rump is that we have to stop.
Full of shiticus, as I call it.
We have to stop taking care of everybody else. Like if you look at the bill for the UN, if you look at the bill for NATO,
Oh yeah, we flipped most of it.
I mean, people commit troops, which is great, but number one, they don't commit the amount of troops that we do. They don't even commit 10% of the troops that we do for outside of our nation missions to take care of other people, much less any monetary help. We're literally, if you look at it, we are literally taking food out of our children's mouths
You ain't lying.
to take care of somebody else. And I get, yes, we've signed this agreement, we are going to help, but how much more are we going to do for everybody else? And we're still not taking care of. I mean, again, look at the homeless population. Look at the homeless child population. Here in Orlando, you've got people who have to work 2 40-hour jobs to be able to afford to be able to afford to live in a 2-bedroom apartment that they'll never own. To me, the world scale is the world scale, but you got to focus on home first. Like if you don't take care of home,
But you should be able to, if we are truly the richest country in the world,
we're not.
then we should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time.
But
We
we're
should
not,
be able to
though.
handle both.
We're not though.
That's
Like-
because the priorities are
Like
misaligned.
realistically, we are not the richest country. We are not the most well-off country. It's the same thing. Like if you look at the pictures that they show all the time of Bill Gates and Bezos standing together, right? And you got hundreds of billions of dollars standing together,
Two people.
and they've got on the dad New Balance and some fucking Kohl's jeans and a white T-shirt. Like
Oak trees, pants.
figure out how to take your resources, and you don't need to flaunt them for everybody else to see. You don't. It's to me, it's asinine that we're in 2022 and we're not even touching the whole racism thing. We're just talking about classism. Like, people make fun of India and they're like, oh, they have the caste system and all that. We got the same exact thing here.
It's the same system.
We have the exact same thing here.
Pretty close to the same.
And the
it's
sad
illusion
part
more
is?
than anything.
That part.
It's just more of illusion. We live in
That
a
part.
society now in America where it's an illusion that you have wealth. I mean,
But you don't.
think about how many.
We definitely don't live up to the creed as expressed in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. It is on paper, but it's not in practice.
Well, that's because
And that's
those motherfuckers were crooked too.
correct.
You got to remember that all the people that write the laws, they write the laws to fit themselves, so they can benefit and their friends can benefit. There was a bill that just got denied that for veterans, mind you, for veterans saying that once a veteran is released from the services, they are automatically enrolled into the VA healthcare system. There were 132 Republicans, and again, I'm not going political as far as, Republican, Democrat, Tea Party, all that other bullshit. But there were 132 Americans, some of which were in combat and served in the armed forces, and turned a bill down that would help soldiers who are coming back home who need the mental health help, who need, because I'm a product of that. Whereas when I got out and I tried to file for benefits and help, it was literally one of those things, oh, you're too young, you'll get over it. It wasn't until literally 12 years after I got out that I was able to actually get benefits and get the help that I needed.
And the vast majority of those individuals in power hang their votes on veterans. They
Which kills me.
For veterans, but they don't promote it in regards to money or support or help.
No, yeah.
Those are the only things that's the one thing that bothers me.
They run on the platform of we love Americans and we love our veterans and protect our war heroes and all that shit. But then they don't want to do shit for you when you get back. And thankfully, I didn't. My era was a lot better than the Vietnam era, for the fact that a lot of the people in power in Congress, in the House of Representatives, even on the state level in legislature, they were products of the Vietnam era. And their children followed their footsteps to be soldiers, to be Marines, to be airmen, to be Coast Guard and all these other things. And they said, my children will not get treated the way that I got treated when I came back. Which is fine from the aesthetic standpoint of nobody's going to be spitting on you and calling you a baby killer. Great. But the amount of shit that we see overseas and that we do overseas at a young age. I mean, I was deployed at 21 years old. Stephen was deployed in his early 20s into hot zones. And the things that you see and you come back and everybody just assumes that you're going to be okay. No, we're still kids. But
even the process of unpacking all that trauma, like, let's say you grew up in a run-of-the-mill middle-class society and life was great, but now you get put in this predicament where you're doing a job that in 4 years completely off-tracks you from that happy-go-lucky environment you were accustomed to growing up, and they have nothing to say about it. When you go through all this pain and you trying to unpack all that takes years.
Bro, my mom,
years to get that point.
When I came back home, my mom said, you're not my son anymore. And not in the sense of, I don't know you, you're not my son because you've done these things. She was like, you're not my son because the innocent, doe-eyed boy that left in the summer of '98 is not the person who's come back in the summer of 2005. Like, just not. And it's because of all the things that we saw that we did. And
the process of hardening yourself.
And there is no, and to be honest with you, not until 10 years ago, if that, was there a process of let's unpack this. It was, here's medication, shut up and go along with it. Which is why alcoholism in our age group, when you're in the early 30s to early 40s, is rampant now. If you look at the veteran status, like alcoholism and drug abuse, because you don't have a real way to deal with the mental health demons that you have. So what do? Everybody else says, oh, you're an adult, suck it up. How do you suck it up? You drink so you don't remember, and you do drugs so you don't remember. And then when you sober up, guess what? You start drinking again. It's a horrible cycle.
Like that. The feeling, and that's the thing that makes mental health so hard. That internal feeling, because the thing that's inside, the thing that makes you continue to move forward is that progress of tomorrow will be a better day. I'm good. Things are happy. I can find happiness somewhere, but what happens when you wake up and you can't find it? No matter how much you search for it, no matter how much you work towards it, you just never get to the point where it's like, oh, this is going to be okay. The sun is going to come out. And some people don't have that. And for some people, it's always been that way inside of them. But this thing that they did triggers it to the extent where it's like now you can't fix it, and you got nowhere to go. You have no hope into how things are going to get better. Like that's the one thing you want to kill somebody completely. You give them no hope. You give them to a point where they can't think that things will be better, and that's what happens to a lot of vets. They lose the ability to see that hope in that process of things being better eventually. They just see the hopelessness in everything. Like you can listen to, and that's the funny thing when you're sitting around a bunch of guys. I think that's why vets kind of understand like people when they talk crazy and they know the difference between them just talking and then really not feeling good. Because you sit around a lot of guys that are just so negative because they don't got no reason to look at anything positive. There's nothing positive to look for. It's not there. And they have to find a way to work through that. And you think you could do it on your own, but you can't because you don't know how to get to regular again.
Yeah.
Because you've been so far on the limb, and it's like a micro dose. It's slowly gotten you there to the point that now you don't even realize that you're a different person, that you're short with people, that you have this attitude and this desire to be negative. And you don't want to be that person, but you are because now you've changed. You are
Because that's the only way to protect yourself. And also, the other thing is that's the only way to protect everybody else from you. You know, because, like, thank God I had a great support system in parents and friends and family friends, you know, when I came back that were like, hey, we're here for you. You know, you think about it. Think about 75 to 80% of the people who join the military at 18 years old join because their parents say, all right, you graduated high school, you're on your own, see you later. There's no support system there. You know, if you got a scholarship to college, great, we got you. But, you know, your bills are your bills now that you're 18.
Yeah.
I'd say less than probably 10% of the people that go in as this is their last effort. This
Right.
is their last thing.
Yeah.
This is something they just want to do.
Like me, at you know, probably at 7 or 8, watching G.I. Joe, that was my thing. Like, that's when I want to be when I grow up. I had a ton of opportunities to go to college, to do all these other things. But for me, I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, out of everything else, it's my dream.
When you're with people and you tell them, hey, I just want to be here.
I chose to be here. I chose this.
Yeah.
And
they're like, you had an option?
Like, what? It's like, I'm here
They're like, you mean you could have went to
hey.
college or you could have gotten a regular job? Yeah, but I chose this profession because to me, it's one of the most noble professions you can choose. And it's about being a humanitarian at the end of the day. Like, I didn't join the military because I was like, oh, I want to kill people. No. I joined the military because I wanted to help.
As a man, that's like the most honorable profession you can have.
Yeah.
Because you can't, your idea of being a leader in the sense that you're like a public figure leader, it's very slim to none, but you can definitely go and serve.
Absolutely.
And yet, you know, you think about all cultures, the warriors were the most respected people.
They were.
You know, in society, people that came from nothing, you know, they became warriors and they lived a life of luxury because they were willing to fight. Or
They were willing to lay down their life.
cultivated to be a fighter.
Yeah, they were willing to lay down their life to make sure that you didn't have to fight.
And that's something you got
You didn't have to see the dirtiness.
It's not an easy thing to walk up on. It ain't like saying hi to a girl.
Go.
Like, it's not something you can just be like, hey man, I'm gonna go talk to this girl. It's something you commit to, and you gotta fulfill that commitment.
Exactly.
That's why I respect countries like Israel where it's required that you have to serve a certain amount of time for every young man.
Israel and Germany. Germany too.
Yeah.
Germany's 3 years, man and women.
Korea-
Doesn't
Korea
matter.
as well.
Yeah.
Korea as well.
And I think that's something that, you know, people are like, oh, that's wrong. No, I think that is one of those things that helps to shape you as a human being, and it also helps you to give people that value on life, because a lot of people who come from similar situations like Stephen and I and you are did, whether you're lower class, middle class, you know, as a person of color, it's very hard to understand that you're supposed to love your fellow person, because, you know, all the outside influence tell you that no, you're supposed to compete against them. You're not supposed to work with them and uplift each other. So when you get to that point of joining the military and you realize that, you know, I remember We had guys from like the backwoods of Georgia, Kentucky, all these other places. Then you had a lot of foreigners like myself, South America, the Philippines, all these other regions of the world. And day zero, we get off the bus, we get our uniforms, we get our hats on, we get our hair cut, and we get back in line, and they break us down into platoons. And the first thing that the senior drill instructor says is, there is no white, there is no brown, there is no yellow, there is no green, there is nothing. There is no white, no brown, no yellow. There's only green. The uniform that you have on, that's your family. Like, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, doesn't matter what color your hands are at the end of your uniform, doesn't matter what your face looks like. It's the fact that you guys have on the same uniform. That's what makes you family. And if more of the youth, not even of today, of our age, if all of them got that training and got that understanding, we'd be in a totally different place in this country as it is, period. Hurry up. Don't have kids, bro. Don't have, well, Steven's going to have girls anyway, so. The way it's going to look, it's going to be like triplets.
Ooh, you see that look he gave
I
you?
mean, that
He gave you the Medusa look. He was trying to turn you into stone.
He's keeping it real.
But thank you both for your nuanced and very specific perspective on that topic. So,
as much as we are all different, we are all the same, and I think that's the point that we have to focus on. Just as a human race, we all have the same color blood. We all have. There's DNA is DNA, but let's be real. A lot of it's the same. We have more similarities than we have differences, and if we started to focus on the similarities versus the differences, imagine where we would be. Just as a human race, as far as caring for one another.
yeah, because the differences should be appreciated and welcomed to make sure we're a better and well-rounded person. Next quick segue. As I came in here, I had a quick conversation with Virgil, the world's oldest living man, and he told me that Total Wine now has
Bro Brothers,
a hybrid with Bro Brothers on supply. And I think that is indicative of the relationship that Uncle Nearest has aligned themselves with Bro Brothers. So they're helping with distribution and everything else now. So it's nice to see another African American owned label being able to be more readily available to the general public. Because you and I both have had and enjoyed Bro Brothers. So it's good to see that partnership paying dividends. So.
Or just having an even till amount of different small brands being able to be distributed throughout the U.S. I mean, when it comes to you drinking a bourbon or having any of those spirits, the point of it all is to be able to taste and try different things.
Yeah.
You want to be able to have that variety. And unfortunately, there's a lot of markets where that's not available as much.
Yep.
And I mean, it sucks. But there's a lot of brands that really have the potential to be great brands if they have better distribution, and I think that was always Bro Brothers' issue, is the distribution. The brand itself is great. It's a great bourbon. It's very tasty and it's perfectly priced. I mean, I'd say it's underpriced in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a very fine flavor. It's great for mixing, great for drinking straight.
Yep.
And
Good nice food, good meat. Yep.
Every time I've given some to somebody, they enjoyed it. One of my friends, I bought him 3 bottles. I took back home, and because he wanted to try it, he being a member of the Sigma. With Sigma, he's a Sigma, so his mentality is always kind of supporting culture. So he wanted to try some because they can't get it there. And I was like, "Well, how'd you hear about it?" "Oh, my frat brothers talked about it." And I was like, "Okay, well, it's a good brand. It's very good. You can't. I wouldn't look at it as far as it being a black brand. I like the ideology of pushing black brands, but I think as a brand on its own, it's strong. It's solid.
It's quality.
If you've had bourbons or whiskeys. You know, if you drink Jack Daniels and you like Jack Daniels, you're gonna love this because it's way better by a long shot. You know, and it's price competitive.
And I love the point that you can just put it in your coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing. On Saturday mornings, I make my pilon, and I make it in an 8-ounce cup, and then I pour about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces of Bro Brothers in there. You don't need any sugar. You don't need anything, and it's just perfect with your morning cigar. Sit on the patio and relax. I love it.
You know, you get a bottle and you'll probably be finishing that bottle in no time because it's so smooth, so crisp that when you drink it, you're gonna be like, wow, I could sit and drink this all day. You know, so I'll recommend anyone that hasn't tried it to try it.
BROUGH Brothers. So,
And then their distillery is not a big one.
No, they're not, but they're gonna have to expand soon
They're gonna have to
because
expand. And I like the programs they're running. They're trying to push for a lot of other people that want to create their own, showing them the process of making their own bourbons and pushing that as a thing. I mean, they're in Kentucky. That's a bourbon mecca.
yeah, that's literally the home of bourbon.
Exactly. So for a lot of those, and the thing is, the location of it is in a prominently black neighborhood, and they make it there. And a lot of, like I said, they have great programs with them in regards to getting younger, or not necessarily younger, but people who are, advantageous about trying it, trying to do it themselves. So that's always a good thing, because the more people you get into something, the more unique characteristics and flavors you can bring out of that,
yes.
rather than just keeping it into this one straight and narrow thing. And I think the spirit world has been like that for such a long time that there's no room for any new flavoring or ideology about making spirits. So
I think that's the beauty of like having craft beer before. We kind of had this similar offshoot and expansion with craft beer. And now it's gotten to the point where now we're getting the same thing again with our bourbons and our whiskeys and vodkas and rums. I mean, you're starting to really see an opening of just new ideas and people who don't necessarily look like the bourbon type. I kind of compare it to my boy Jonathan Drew and Drew Estates and Acid. He came out in a time where, almost 30 years ago, he came out and everybody laughed at him. They were like, who's this kid dressed up like a hip hop star and,
rejected Beastie Boy.
Right, like that's not what cigars is about. And I think that was the biggest thing that really pushed him and catapulted him to the top was the fact that
He said, I'm going to show you.
Well, not even that. The fact that everybody who felt like they wanted to be into cigars but couldn't because of the status quo, or because of the stuffy guy in a high leatherback chair in the cigar shop that would give them dirty looks when they walked in because they came in a t-shirt and jeans and flip-flops.
You got to change it up. Nothing wrong with that.
And I think
it's an evolution.
And that's the perfect word. Like the evolution of spirits has taken on. I mean, you want to go that far? You even got the Japanese making whiskey, and some of the best whiskeys out there. And whiskey is not a Japanese thing. Whiskey is not an Asian thing. But because they have such a profound love and appreciation for the art of whiskey making, they have now said, you know what? We want to do our spin on it.
Yeah, and when they do their spin on something, they put their foot in it.
They do.
They put their foot in it. So, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we'll have to decide what we're going to do because Saturday, March 3rd, for the C3 Fest, Eric Espinosa from Espinosa Cigars will be here, in addition to Teddy Swims, and that's Saturday, March 5th. From 3 to 6. So
okay.
I'm not sure if they're going to have Espinosa set up in here and Swims outside, but however they figure it out, maybe we will or maybe we won't do a show that day, but I'll certainly be here for that. So.
Well, yeah, it'd be great to get him on the show. I haven't seen him in a couple of years. He was one of the first guys I met when I moved to South Florida at the end of 2008. He was actually the first cigar celebrity I met.
Okay.
You know, and he's just one of those guys that I love him because he doesn't hang on his laurels. He's not the guy in the three-piece suit with the bow tie on and, you know, holding his pinky up in the air while he smokes or drinks. He's the t-shirt and jeans guy that's just like, hey, I love cigars. I want to share my love of cigars. Here I am. You know, he's a very personable guy. He's hilarious. And again, those are the types of guys that we need in the industry to show that, you know, it takes all kinds and all walks of life.
Case in point, you yourself with Triple H. You didn't come from the old stodgy guard relationship. You developed a love of the leaf, and you've got your own product, which we are smoking right here, and more blending will be coming forth soon. So I can't wait for that as well. So thank you for your efforts in impacting this industry in your special way too.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, it becomes one of those things where it's not even about having your name or your face in a cigar bar or on social media. It's the fact that
You want to be all in the videos.
Right. Like, it's the fact that you created something that's in a very niche market, and to have others who, whether they're like you or not, appreciate the craftsmanship and the blending and the art that you put together in bringing a cigar to the market to share with everybody. And I'm the first one to tell you, I don't give a shit if you like my cigar or not. My only thing I would tell anybody is, I just want you to smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
If it's not mine, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't really care. Just find something that you enjoy and smoke that. You know, that's why there's so many different brands out. That's why there's so many different blends by each brand. There's going to be something that you love. There's going to be stuff that you just detest and your palate does not agree with it. And that's fine. You know, there's no reason to necessarily shit on another product or to say, oh, that cigar sucks. No. The biggest thing I tell people is it's just not for my palate. Because it's the truth. Like, cigars are made by blenders. Not every blender has the same palate. So what the blender smokes and says, man, this is amazing, may not be in your wheelhouse. And that's perfectly fine. That doesn't mean that manufacturer or those blenders make shitty cigars. They don't make cigars for you.
Correct.
And I think that's where we have to, as a consumer, you have to understand that, you know, we're not making cigars specifically for you. We're making cigars for people who are like us, who have palates like us.
Yeah, and there's
So-
such a wide range of palettes.
Right.
So there's no excuse for you to be able to find something that you like, that you love, or that you want to give to friends. If it's not your palate, you can share it.
I mean, case in point with Rupert. You know, I bought 3 bundles of those cigars, and I didn't realize that it was an infused cigar. And what it was infused with was something that just doesn't agree with my palate. It's not that I don't like infused cigars. It's not that I don't like flavored cigars. Like, there are some that I very much enjoy. The Extraordinary Larry is one of them.
Yeah.
It's just, that cigar, I love it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people
truly
like the
love
Sweet
it.
James. Yeah.
You know, Sweet Jane as well.
Yeah.
The Drew Estate Naturals. You know, there are a lot of cigars that are infused or flavored that I love. However, case in point, this one, I got through barely the first third of it, and because it was from one of my favorite manufacturers and one of my good friends, I was like, all right, I'm going to see, you know, it's off the cold draw. I was like, nope, I'm not going to like this. Already knew. But I'm going to smoke it anyway. And I got through the first third, and I was like, you know what? It's not my palate. It's not my wheelhouse. It's not something that I can appreciate. But I know a guy who loves flavored and infused tobacco.
Yeah.
And I gave it to him, and this is one of his favorite cigars. He loves smoking that cigar.
Yeah. He's
And that's what it's all about. Is that when you make these friendships and these acquaintanceships with people at cigar shops, you know, same case in point, the 3 of us.
Yeah, you should see him. When he smokes that cigar, he's happier than a gay man with 2 buttholes. So,
12. All right. I lost my train of thought. So, Stephen, on to you. I have nothing else to say right now.
So I'm looking at getting a shotgun. So.
Oh,
You still looking at that Mossberg?
Yeah, the 930 SPS.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, I think it's something I was looking at it because they were doing, I really wanted that, the Beretta, the one the Beretta put out. It looks really nice, but it's way over my price range. We're talking about 1500.
But
is that really out your price range, or you just don't want to spend that? That's the thing with Steven.
That's
It's not necessarily out of his price range. He just doesn't want to spend that much.
1500 for a boomstick. That's good.
I mean,
And it's very competitive with the Benelli.
But it's a
and that's what I was just about to say. I was just about to say that.
but
Now,
it's
it's
in
one
a
of
$600
those.
range. That's not bad.
Actually, it cycles rounds faster than the Benelli.
Really?
But it's in a $600 range. That's all right.
The Mossberg is, but the Beretta is like it's like 1500.
Well, that's Beretta.
But it's a similar design, maybe not as fast, but Mossberg is notorious for making great shotguns,
They do.
and that
They
gun
do.
is really nice. But the Beretta is like when I saw it on Grand Thumbs, I was like, ugh, I
You
hate that.
should talk to the owner of Executive Cigars because he's an FFL. He supplies to Seminole County.
That is true.
He could probably get his hands on that for you. Either one.
I gotta go look around. I was on Gun Broker, and they had some pretty.
Because he told me anything you want, if I can get it, we'll get it to your cops.
AA12. No, not so much.
You got me on that one.
I mean,
Even on that Benelli, that'd be nice.
Hey,
that cherry wood with the gold inlays, the over under.
I want the 4, like the Marines carry. I like that.
That's about the only thing the Marines did right.
So lastly, tomorrow is Super Bowl Sunday. Bengals or Rams? Who you got?
No. I thought that was the
The
it's
shotgun
Super Bowl
thing?
Sunday.
Tomorrow.
That was next week.
No, I knew there was a football game going on during the BET award show.
Maybe the work show is tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe so. But tomorrow's Super Bowl
Oh no, I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. My apologies. The halftime show.
Oh, I can't wait. Dr. Dre,
The halftime show.
Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige,
2 Chainz.
Eminem, Kendrick Lamar.
I mean, I was like, they're having a whole like hip hop concert.
Yeah, West Coast, LA style.
Yeah, I was like, this is cat. They're having a whole like hip hop concert, and then there's a football game that's also going on before and after.
That's what it is. All right, I got you.
Oh,
So that's tomorrow. So
because at first I was like, oh shit, the Source Awards is on a Sunday,
No,
and it's not in Miami.
The halftime show is gonna be.
that's gonna be. I can't wait.
That's gonna be lit.
I can't wait.
Gonna be something.
I can't wait. So
That's the only reason I would have gone to the Super Bowl this year. To be honest with you. To be honest with you.
LA
Man,
too.
have you seen them prices? Oh my god! For them tickets,
I want to be in the parking lot.
you have to be in the parking
I'll just be
lot,
parking
bro.
lot pimping.
Man,
because-
$500,000 seats. All the stuff infield is like it's over 6 figures. Like
Yeah, it's insane.
it's ridiculous. They were saying nosebleeds was like a couple thousand.
No.
I would love to see the Bengals win, though.
Same. Same.
I would definitely love to see the Bengals win. I think they've definitely earned their spot this year, and
So
It'd
you
be
see
great.
Burrow smoke a cigar?
huh?
So you see Joe Burrow smoke a cigar?
Fuck you.
Man, why you hating on Joe Burrow, man? That guy's good. He's cocky, but he backs it up. I really want Stafford to win.
And that's the other thing.
I really
Like
want Stafford.
Stafford's been like I remember when he got drafted. Stafford is he's an amazingly underrated quarterback. Like with the Lions, look what he did with the Lions, and with no help, really, like no type of offensive line really, and
Yeah, it's the Lions. I mean, think about it. How horrible that franchise is. Barry Sanders quits. Calvin Johnson quits. You get tired of losing.
yeah,
And for the record, Joe Burrow smokes the La Florida Dominicana Mysterio.
he seems like that type.
So, well, ladies and
Great
gentlemen, that's another fantastic Saturday.
Yep.
here at ATF Radio.
And if you don't agree with this, go fuck yourself.
Yep. And if you still don't agree, go fuck yourself twice. So
What's up?
So,
you happy now?
so with that, on behalf of Kat, who just walked in and gave the cigar snob a hug, A.A. Ron sitting behind me.
Hey, Ron.
What's up, guys? What's going on, man? Hey, man, how you doing? Good to see you.
On behalf of Chairperson Steve, have a fantastic Valentine's Day weekend. Enjoy yourself.
Drink well.
Smoke well.
And
Fuck well.
always.
And as always, shoot.
That's
Center mass. He's not to your motherfucking mouth.
Now.